Right, today's video we're going to go over Quest 66 or Odyssey Quest 66. This is the one that pits you against other players. You have to get first place in the Oracle's trials 3 times. That means you are playing directly against another player and it's your resources that you're playing with. So these are tips and tricks that I learned whilst doing it and things I would change and do differently. Okay, let's jump into the video and have a look. Hello and welcome, I'm Mystical, this is Mystical Gaming, we're back into Watcher of Realms. Now if you're doing and pushing hard in the Odyssey quest lines, then you'll be up to the obtaining rank E in 5 Immortal Codex bosses. That means you need 2 rotations of the Immortal Codex. The first one will be coming to an end now, so people would have got their 3 lots of rank E minimums and they'd be waiting for the next one to turn up. Now when the next one turns up, 2 days after it turns up, that's the moment you'll be able to finish this quest. Now as soon as it's finished, you'll be able to push on as hard as you can and get all the way from quest 63 right the way up to quest 66. Now this is where it starts to get tricky, because quest 66 you have to obtain rank 1 in 3 Oracle trials. That's not easy to do because you're in a group of 100 other people and some of those are also on quest 66 and they also want to get rank 1. So what do? How do you prep for it and how do you get ready for this? Because there are some whales out there and they can spam stamina like it's going out of fashion. So get yourself sorted now to make that life and that transition for you a little bit easier. Let's go through some hints and tips and things that I wish I had done beforehand. So here's an example of one of the raids that I gave up on. Realistically, I just couldn't compete. I got 12,000 points early on, which equates to about 600 runs if you just get 1 artifact on each run. So it's probably a little bit shorter than that, but not by that much. To do 600 runs, that's 13,000 energy and sort of around 66 huge stamina pots. Now, that's a massive amount of resources to go through, and that was on day 1, early part of the game, and I got my arse handed to me. I mean, Infernal Tale just didn't stop. The stamina just kept going and going, and his points just kept going up and up. I couldn't. So at 12,000, I knocked it on the head and thought I'm not going to even compete with that. If you aren't willing to get 30,000 points as a minimum, you are not going to be even in the same game as anyone else. So just be aware that when you enter one of these, that's the sort of point ratio that you need. The other thing I would do is I'd have a look through to see if any of the players that you're fighting in there are part of your guild, and you might want to have a chat with each other to arrange who's going to do what, as opposed to blowing all your stamina and just fighting a guild member as well, when you can actually have a chat to the other person. So that is the first thing I'd do, have a look to see who you're actually fighting in your 100 group. So here's one that's been running for about a day now, the Vault in the Sands quest. Now it looks like Rudus B-List has actually got it sorted. I mean, he's at 15,000 points. Now if you want to check up on him or them to see where they are or what they're doing, and if you're in a closer fight to them, then you want to take down their ID. Now with their ID, you can then go and find out what they're actually doing or where they are. So come out of the player profile and go down to your friends list, and then on your friends list you go to the add friend and you can put in their ID in there, search for them and they will come up. Then click on their profile, and then on their profile you can have a look at what guild they're in. So if you have a look at the guild, you'll then be able to see if they're online or not. So that will give you a little insight as to if they're online, if you're fighting for first place as the clock's running out. Now if you are fighting for someone for first place, I would suggest that you are online when that clock finishes, because people will snipe. Now I didn't try this, but I wish I had. Now when you're about to do the Immortal Codex and finish off those 2 last bosses to get your rank E before you get to this quest, I would consider doing some of the trials and coming first, and maybe even if they finish beforehand and you haven't collected your reward, I don't know whether that would still count or not, whether that's classed as active. So I think it would be worth trying, because you might get an easy win there. The other option is to get significantly far ahead in one of the active trials that are going to end just after, or the day after, the Immortal Codex second boss starts, so to speak. So you'd be able to get a good lead in the first sort of 3 days of it, then do the Immortal Codex. Once you've got that, get onto that quest, and you'd still be in first place before it ends. So I don't know if when the event ends you've got to be finished, or you can still claim a first place in the 24 hours subsequently after it, before the event disappears. But I would consider trying that next time round, or when you first get there. I think it might be worth a bet, if nothing else. Well, I don't know why this is, but I had a lot more joy out of doing the non-gear raid trials more than anything else. So in Heroes Training, I got first. This was the last first I got that this morning. And the big advantage with it is you don't need to put in any points until the very end. So you know if the person's online, and you know precisely how many points you've got, because it's written here how many points you're going to get, and you can get them really quickly. So I spent a couple of days farming up the experience raid. I think I had about 18,000 experience. I've still got about 10,000 of it left, I think, so I've still got quite an amount left. I did the best part of 10,000 points in this in the last 15 minutes. So you can invest your time in something that you might use later on, and you haven't got to go and use it in a hope that you win a battle with someone else who can wail out with more stamina than you. So you can prep that beforehand. So I think these events are really good. The other event that I did, that I won on, was Arrival of Heroes. No one else was doing the Arrival of Heroes, so I quickly calculated how many I'd need, and in the last 5 minutes I pulled, now whether this is a good use of my summoning crystals or not, I don't know, I pulled 12 legendary summoning crystals, and that got me the first place. It also got me a spare Zilitude as well, so that's not all bad news. But whether that's a good use of your time and your summoning crystals or not, that's a choice you'll have to make. But I found a lot more playability, as this account is free to play. The things I get from content creator from the company go to my global account. So this account is completely free to play, so I'm very limited on the number of resources I've got. So you have to play to your strengths, and looking to see if someone's online and banking things that you may not have to use until later very much guarantees that you can get these 3 done. And they're not easy to do, because I've been in a whale fight and I was just spamming stamina like it was going out of fashion. Doing it the other way round has made my life a lot easier for me, to be honest. So quickly go over everything. What you want to do is, before your Immortal Codex boss, the second one, opens up next time round, see if you can push to being first in one of the Oracle's trials. Stock up on stamina, because you are going to need it, and also your auto battles. Check to see who else is in your group, and if someone else is running and doing quite well, feel free to write to them and ask, are you doing quest 66? Because you might be able to sort something out between yourselves. They might not be, they might be farming gear, so do have a check of them. And also have a look at the other quests, like the hero training and the Arrival of Heroes, because people don't do them for some reason. I don't know why, but I found them much easier, much cheaper to complete than the gear raid ones. The gear raid ones are a straight fight with stamina. If you are going that route, make sure that when you've got your Power of Dominance on, you can go back in there and make sure you've got a fast team so you can farm it quickly, because it will come down to how fast you can farm it and how much stamina you've got. They'll be the 2 deciding factors for you on how quickly you can do it. So get yourselves prepared now, because that quest is horrible. You're up against some other players who also want first place. And then once you've got it done, you've got pretty much up until the Sunday to get to quest 73, because 73 is Platinum 3 or above for 3 seasons in a row. So as soon as you've done your quest 66, you've got until the Sunday to get to quest 73, because that's the first time it will count for you. And no, it's not retroactively initiated, so you do have to do that quest, and that's going to take you 3 weeks to do, or 3 seasons. So bear that in mind. You've got a week to get from 66 to 73. But that's my tips for getting through quest 66. Not easy, pits you against other players, probably the most evil quest going, and you see people on Reddit and Facebook all the time on about quests where you get the 5 ancient pieces of gear and how much stamina they've wasted. It is a drop in the ocean, or can be, if you get 2nd or 3rd when you're fighting off in a whale off against someone else in one of those gear raids. Okay, that's it for me today. Thank you very much for your time. I'll see you all in a video again soon, and good luck when the next Immortal Codex comes out. Happy gaming. Cheers, goodbye.